society is not very forgiving. And you have to really fight for a chance to get things, and that, I think, is the hardest part. For me, is just to give me an opportunity and I'll show you what I can do. Different ways. I'm trying to restore the relationships. I have 2 adult children and 2 children still with me. They were disappointed, they were angry. To be honest with you, they questioned my wife as to why you're even bothering to staying with them. And these are my own children.
Well, I've been home for 7.5 months, and there's been some really good times, and there's been some struggles. The anniversary of my mom's passing away was very difficult for me, and I actually now have a network of individuals that I can call, that I can contact, that I can speak to, that really just helped me work through some of those things. But also, Celebrate Recovery has been huge for me. We meet on Thursdays at Mount Ararat Baptist Church in North Stafford. We meet on Friday nights here in Fredericksburg at the Salvation Army, and I'm involved in the leadership team there. And just really just working through some of those hurts, some of those hang-ups, some of those habits that I've just come accustomed to has been huge for me. And so,
I'll condense, and it's a long one, but I'm going to tell you honestly, it's been a hard journey for the last 6-7 years. Incarcerated 4.5, and then returning the rest of the time. DUI, multiple, and Stafford County doesn't play with those, and I ended up doing 4.5 years, and it was quite trying because the majority of the time I was at Rappahannock Regional Jail 3 years, and the rest was DOC. But within the DOC, it was far distance for my family to come see me, so I wasn't able to see them. And more importantly, it was just a huge disconnect. It was already bad enough because of the barriers, physical barriers. Then the distance added to that made it next to impossible.
FailSafe-Era was formed. What I say is my son was my critical incident to forming FailSafe-Era. He, after graduating from scholarship and being on a basketball scholarship, made a bad decision. He decided to sell some drugs. And so as a result of that, he was incarcerated for it. And that was a really, really hard time for our families. For our family, I remember it changed my view on incarceration and people that have been affected by it.
Organization is Crossroads Transition Home, and what we do, we are a residential ministry, providing a ministry that helps men who are dealing with life-controlling issues like alcoholism, drug addiction, violence, pornography, those who are coming out of incarceration, those who are looking to make a new start in Christ.
It's just very hard. There are so many obstacles that I've put out in front of myself, and it's my fault. I understand that. I'm totally on board with that. But to just think that someone who's been to jail or someone that's been to prison is just a bad guy, it's just not the case. I go to church every Sunday. I'm involved with Celebrate Recovery. I go to 3 AA meetings a week. And so there's a lot of things and a lot of people that I know I can impact. But just because someone's been to jail or prison, oftentimes it's because of a mistake. It's because of a lifestyle that's gone in the wrong direction. And that's kind of what I would tell people.
That what you hear in the news and what you see in the movies is absolutely not the truth. Unfortunately, there's stereotypes, there's mind pictures, if you will, that are painted by society and what a criminal looks like. And it's so far from the truth. It's really pathetic. One of the things that my wife would tell me is people ask me, why are you even bothering to waiting for them? Because once they're in trouble, you think they're like disposable. And so I would believe that if at all possible, in terms of telling the society, try to have a little more compassion towards people that are going through this. Not only just the incarcerated person, but the families that are going them.
One of the things I think that people just need to understand is that people make mistakes. I believe most people that are breathing have made a mistake. Some have made some mistakes and did not get caught. So I think what I would say is that people need to understand that it could easily have been them or a family member, because it could have easily been a mistaken identity, and they would have been in the system, and they would have to prove themselves innocent, but they're guilty before proven innocent.
The insensitivity of dealing with a human. That concerns me the most, the insensitivity dealing with a human. I've had an opportunity to be on both sides. In an undercover capacity, I did a short stint. I kind of laugh about it, in a prison cell, adjusting, investigating, not the prisoners, another branch of the prison. But the insensitivity of the administration toward, those are humans, and they're going to eventually get out. And they're not going to forget how you treated them and how lack of resources, how you didn't make resources available to them. So that really impacts me, that concerns me. Those are humans, that's not animal control. You'd be surprised at some of the situations, some of the conversations that they have with prisoners.
But the number one biggest issue with me is the lack of facilities that can help guys when they come home. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's the halfway houses, it is the drug programs, the live-in facilities, because guys that are coming home that don't have family, that don't have support, that have these backgrounds in drug and alcohol abuse, but they have no job, they have no license, they have nowhere to go. So the only other option is really to be homeless and to kind of start living a lifestyle that's contrary to what we want them to live, and that's having to make compromises. Mm-hmm. And
I don't know if that's possible for even FailSafe-Era to change it, but it's the lack of hope. I don't know how often you all have dealt with prisoners. There's a lack of hope, and it's hard for been incarcerated for multiple years. It's hard to change that lack of hope in a year. For instance, I go back to my experience in an undercover capacity. I knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. I knew my role was only 2 days in. It didn't last 2 days. It did not. And I've been in undercover capacities where I've seen people beheaded. It did not last 2 days. It's that lack of hope, that fear, intimidation when it closes. That no, I can't do that. So the lack of hope. I don't know how to deal with that other than to introduce FailSafe-Era to it and all the programs and assistance, the education, readjustment, and the scholarships.
People that are economically challenged can get help from social services for food stamps or housing or different things. I think that there should be something similar for people returning from incarceration, as opposed to just being dumped out, and maybe some nonprofits like FailSafe to try and help them. Something that is structured and funded by the taxpayers to help these people get on their way and become productive citizens.
just to reach out, just to make contacts. There are so many people that are here to help you, and all you have to do is just reach out. It's a phone. You make a phone call. You gain some names and some phone numbers while you're inside, but those people are always here to help you to take that next step, to kind of connect the dots in a lot of type of ways.
Well, first of all, I would tell the individual and tell those who are listening to me that addiction and life-controlling issues, incarceration, makes you a very self-focused person. You become very caught up in the things that only pertain to you, and you become selfish. You have selfish thinking. I would say to you that you need to be proactive in finding ways to give back to the community, whether that's through volunteering at a church program, volunteering at Habitat for Humanity, volunteering at the food bank, but do something, get involved in giving back. It's very important to realize that the world goes on around you, and it's only those who actually give and serve who actually make an impact. And it's really important for you to make an impact on those people around you and your community. And the second thing I would say is that it's like running a race, and you're leading the race, and you're going to win, and your shoelace comes untied, and you trip and you fall. Instead of laying on the ground and complaining about your situation, is to get up, retie your shoe, and get back in the race. Because I can guarantee you that if you don't do that, you never have a chance to win. But if you do, the possibilities are endless. And you really need to focus on being in the race.
And I was training myself inside to live the way I want to live outside. You can't hit a switch the day you go home, like a light switch, and boom, that's what you're going to be like. Mistakes have been made. You can't change the past, but you can't let your past define who you are and what your future is going to be like. And I refuse to give up, and I refuse to just say that my mistakes are going to define who I am now.
A person can commit a crime, they can serve their time, they can be redeemed, they can be remorseful. Give them an opportunity. Just give them a chance. See what they can do. Instead of what we first do is give up on an individual, or we're pointing a finger, or we're judging without ever knowing the full story and understanding that everybody can be redeemed. You need to be a little more sympathetic to the human person.
We cannot, as a nation, as a community, arrest our way out of the problem.
And I learned something that I came in with some prejudice, thinking that, oh, I'll know a felon if I see one. Well, these were just ordinary people.
I heard something great, and I think it goes like, if you take the time to know me, and I take the time to know you, that we can do something great. That's all it takes.